he tried to get in touch with some of the people functionaries in the town to see if there were any relatives. They said, no, there aren't any Von Teals here, and not only that, we don't want to know about any. So I guess the fact that he'd been, he'd had to escape really as a revolutionary said that.
And that was a long time later. That was like 50 years later.
Right. And they still were.
Right.
They didn't want to know about that guy, those kinds of people. His grandfather, Johann von Thiel, Thiel, married Ottila Rank, who had a brother who was in the Civil War. When I found out that there was Ottila in the background of my family, I was so cross with them for not naming me Ottila instead of Mary. It was so hard to be called Mary. Joseph, they were married in Albany at the Holy Trinity Church in 1856. And their son was Daddy's father. He had two brothers, Joseph, who died on Block Island, and George, who died in Rensselaer.
This is Daddy's father.
His father,
Yeah.
right. So, but nothing about any cousins or anything. Okay, according to Who's Who in 29, Daddy had been with the Erie Railroad, the Lehigh Valley Railroad, the Mercantile Trust Company, that's a big, huge bank, Seaboard National Bank, Snow's Candy Corporation. Well, Bonanno said that he was sent to Chicago by the Snow's Candy Corporation to put the candy company on its feet. And that's where she was born, in Chicago. So this is, after they were married. I mean, I'm going to be skipping back and forth because there's no way I can go completely. He did it so as quickly as he could, and actually the Snow's Candy Corporation was what made Mars bars, and I don't know, a lot of really famous things. So he got the company back on his feet as quickly as he could so they could move back to New York. Other listings in Who's Who were Fox Brothers International Corporation, Atlantic Ellis Channel Systems, Fox Brothers of Cuba, Hydrocentrifugals, etc. Who's Who listed Mother and Daddy's wedding on January 20th, 1920, Isabel Dorothea O'Sullivan in St. Patrick's Cathedral, and John Jerome, Dorothy Ann, and Mary Isabel. His recreation golf, Democrat, Catholic, home address 180 Ottarock Drive, Belhaven, Greenwich, Connecticut, business address 13. The wonderful stack of letters he wrote courting Mother from the summer of 1918 to their marriage in January 1920 revealed a totally different man whom I never knew existed. He was, and of course this doesn't say anything about his career then. When, I don't know which, say by 20, when he was in 29, that would have been, well anyway, whatever, I think his company was called Fox Brothers. And that was the engineering firm that he worked for, that he did all the work for in Europe. And I know he built the Madrid airport in Spain, and Alfonso XIII gave this very, very beautiful Spanish shawl, which I had an embroidered thing, to my mother. And he did a lot of work, and I do remember talking to him about the railroad things, because the gauge on the railroads from France to Spain changed. So somehow or other he was involved in building railroads either in France or in Spain or whatever. And what the specific work he did in France is, I don't know, but he took many trips back and forth, of course always on a steamship, in those days. And then he was in Turkey when, well, he was in Turkey probably within a couple of years of the founding of the country, of Republic of Turkey, of Ataturk. And so it must have been such an unbelievably exciting time.
Right.
This birth of a whole country after, the collapse of the Ottoman Empire and Greece and France and Great Britain wanting to take over the remains of the Ottoman Empire. And this guy, Ataturk, Kemal
Mustafa, yeah.
Mustafa,
Yeah.
saying, no, it's going to be our country, and driving out the Greeks and the French and the Brits and everybody who wanted to take over, and making the country of Turkey. I mean, it was an incredible thing that he did. And within a couple of years of that, I don't know the dates, unfortunately, but within a couple of years of that, Daddy was working with Ataturk. And we got out in the middle of the Anatolian plain when we were heading way east in Turkey, and we all got out of the bus and did a little dance over this lone railroad line that was going across this vast plain, which he had built, and he built dockyards on the Marmara Sea and things like that. And they had he would write back. The first inkling that I had, and it was nothing more than an inkling, was after my mother died. I found this great pile of postcards that he had sent to her, but also to my brother John, my sister Anne, and me, who was just, blah, 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 baby.
Right.
But every single day he was away from his family, he sent these darling postcards, saying a little bit about what he did, but even to me as the baby, lots of hugs and kisses and things like that. And I thought, boy, I mean, he really was the pater familias in those days. And I remember being very surprised by those postcards. And it gave me a different angle on him. But then and they had, I'm not sure what the year was. They had a house in France in Cannes, and Mother, he'd mostly travel back and forth, but he one year had a house in Cannes, and
This is
there's
before you were born.
well, no, actually there are pictures of me, God knows where, on the beach in Cannes. I was a baby, and my brother, adorable pictures of my brother and sister, and Banana was telling me about one time when they were taking a trip somewhere, and they wouldn't take Banana and Uncle John because they always fought so badly in the back of the car. So they left them at home, and Banana was so of course they had servants, that cook and maid and nursemaid and all that kind of stuff, and a governess. They had a very well established household. And Banana, when she was about 5, I guess, escaped out. She must have been, she went out and went down to the little village market and just bought cherries and cookies and all kinds of things and charged everything. And of course the nursemaid was in a state of panic. Where has she gone? But if she was going to be left behind, she was going to make up for it. But anyway, at one of the trips, and this is something I cannot believe that I just never asked about it. Mother had gone to Turkey right before I was born with Daddy. And maybe it was from France, or I think it must have been from Cannes. And that was when Ataturk, then I guess she was visibly pregnant, but she wasn't going to have the baby